Ceremony of Initiation. Pilgrims, we extend to you a fraternal greeting. Heed well what you shall hear. We read in the book of Job that, in all the land were no women found so fair as the daughters of Job, and their father gave them inheritance among their brethren. This is the passage upon which Job's Daughters is founded. In our lessons, we strive to teach that to be fair is to do good. We are all daughters of God, and by the most intimate ties we are related to the Masonic fraternity, that organization which stands for the brotherhood of humanity. While Job's Daughters is no part of this fraternity, there is a great work for us to do. We must learn and practice reverence for God, loyalty to our flag, respect for our elders, and love for all the world. In the story of Job, we learn that if amid all the temptations of life we remain faithful to our Creator, we will be enriched with His blessings. Before you continue your journey, you are required to take a solemn obligation to remain faithful to our teachings. This will be communicated by our chaplain. Guide and marshal, you will conduct the pilgrims west of the altar. Daughters, you will rise. Chaplain, you will attend at the altar. Junior Princess. These pilgrims are seeking to share in our ambitions and labors of love. They believe in those things which make for a better and happier world. I find them worthy of the confidence we are about to place in them. The lessons of the first epoch are to be taught under your direction. Guide and marshal, you will conduct the pilgrims east of the altar for the lectures of the first and second messengers. We hope that the lessons of this epoch have been deeply impressed upon you, and that they will be carried with you forever. Remember the pious and prosperous Job, passing in peace over his vast estates, ever stopping to give a word of cheer to his servants. Hear him bless his children, and pray that they may continue to live in the fear of God. When the shades of night begin to fall, he goes forth into the gathering gloom and hears God's voice in the waters of the river, in the song of the night birds, and in all nature. He looks towards the homes of his sons and, as one by one the candle lights are extinguished, he offers a silent prayer that the morrow will be the same as today, full of love, peace, and plenty. Then, as a storm out of the southland, comes blow after blow on the head of this pious man, his wealth is swept away, his family is destroyed, and his body is torn with pains of disease. Yet, in his hour of trial, when all the world seemed to forsake him, he remained God's faithful servant. Job was steadfast. We learn from this epoch always to remain faithful to God in our every thought, word, and act, no matter what earthly trials we may be called upon to endure. Be steadfast, practice love, dispense light, shun falsehood, and believe only in the truth. The sign of the first epoch is given. Pilgrims, you will exemplify with me this sign. The response is, Pilgrims, you will repeat after me the response of the first epoch. The mystic number of this epoch is 7. It alludes to the number of Job's sons and the measure of his flocks. The emblem of this epoch is the white dove, which symbolizes purity and truth. It is also symbolic of the name of Job's first daughter, whom he called Jemima, which means dove. Honored Queen, the pilgrims are prepared for the second epoch. Senior Princess, the lessons of the second epoch are to be taught under your direction. Pilgrims, You are bound to us by the sacred pledge of Job's daughters. The lessons which we learn here assist us in building our own individual character. Guide and marshal, you will conduct the pilgrims east of the altar for the lectures of the third and fourth messengers. Pilgrims, you have heard the sad story of Job's anguish. The man whom God corrects should count himself happy, for his correction is meant to awaken him from his dream of evil and lead him into a broader, cleaner life, rich in blessings. God knows your every thought and watches over you in hours of pleasure and in times of misfortune. Every thought is like a dewdrop from heaven. Its usefulness is forecast and its purpose fulfilled. We will give ourselves to faith that never faileth, kind thoughts to our fellow men, inspiring confidence and hope of reward. The sign of the second epoch is given. Pilgrims, you will exemplify with me this sign. The response is, Pilgrims, you will repeat after me the response of the second epoch. The mystic number of this epoch is 3. It alludes to the 3 daughters of Job and his 3 friends from the Far East. The emblem of this epoch is the urn of incense, which in all ages has symbolized prayer. It is also symbolic of the name of Job's second daughter, whom he called Keziah, meaning cassia, used in incense. On our queen, the pilgrims are prepared for the third epoch. Pilgrims, it is my pleasure to impart to you the last lesson of our order. As quoted from the book of Job, "Thou shalt forget thy misery. Remember it as waters that are passed away, and thy life shall rise brighter than the noonday." Guide and marshal, you will conduct the pilgrims east of the altar for the lecture of the 5th messenger. Pilgrims, it is my pleasure to impart to you the closing lessons which we learn from the study of Job's life. The 3 principal officers of the Bethel are placed side by side in the east of the Bethel to represent the 3 daughters of Job, of whom we read in the Holy Book. The mystic number of this epoch is 5. It alludes to the messengers informing Job of his misfortune and the 5 messengers who relate the story to the pilgrims in Job's daughters. The mystic number of this epoch is 5. It alludes to the messengers informing Job of his misfortune and the 5 messengers who relate the story to the pilgrims in Job's daughters. The mystic numbers of our order are 7, 3, and 5, as explained in each epoch. The emblem of this epoch is the horn of plenty, which symbolizes the triumph of Job over the temptations of the evil one, and the reward for his piety and faith. It should ever remind us to advance with strength and power. It is also symbolic of the name of Job's 3rd daughter, whom he called Karen Hepek, which means plenty. The lily of the valley is the emblematic flower of our order. From the retired place in which it grows, we learn humility. It is white, and white in all ages has been deemed an emblem of purity. The lily of the valley teaches that beauty beams from purity throughout the veil of humility. The sign of the 3rd epoch is given. Pilgrims, you will exemplify with me this sign. The response is, Pilgrims, you will repeat after me the response of the 3rd epoch. Senior Custodian, you will approach the altar, retire, and exemplify the manner of leaving a Bethel while it is in session, after which you will ask the outer guard to admit you in the regular manner. Senior Princess, you will explain the salutation sign and examination of a member who cannot be vouched for. If a member's qualification to attend a meeting is ever questioned, she can prove her membership in Job's Daughters by taking an examination. Junior Princess. You will represent a member whom I will examine. You will explain and exemplify the sign of the first epoch. What is the response of the first epoch? You will explain and exemplify the sign of the second epoch. What is the response of the second epoch? You will explain and exemplify the sign of the third epoch. What is the response of the third epoch? Pilgrims, when you enter or retire from a Bethel in session, you will do as exemplified by our senior custodian. Each member is required to commit to memory the signs, responses, obligation, salutation sign, grip, and mother's, father's, and guardian's prayer. The guide will now give you the grip of the order. The grip of Job's Daughters is given We are taught that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, which includes both just thinking and right conduct. We hold high our aim and name of Job's Daughters, which stands for J. Joy with judgment. O. Order being our first law. B. Beautiful and gracious in manner. S. Sincere in undertaking. D. Domineering over self. A. Abstain from evil. U. Upward and onward. G. God's name held in reverence. H. Hope never faileth. T. Truth always spoken. E. Eager for knowledge. R. Reaching toward the best. S. Steadfast and upright. We will face life squarely for future success. Guide and marshal. You will conduct the pilgrims west of the altar. Our chaplain will lead us in prayer. Guide and marshal. You will conduct the pilgrims to the recorder's desk to sign our permanent record book. I now welcome you as a member of Job's Daughters International. At the close of the meeting, the members will greet and welcome you. This completes the ceremony of initiation.